Hello Hoopalings, Hoopa here, and welcome to What Are They? A series that I try to do at least once a month, where I talk about Pokemon's backstories that I find interesting. So far I've done Pokemon like the Paradox Beasts as well as the Legendary Beasts and other Pokemon, but today I'm going to be talking about the real first extraterrestrial Pokemon ever made, and that is Deoxys. Now, before we get started, I do want to let you guys know that yes, I understand that Clefairy is supposedly a Pokemon from the moon, but the problem with that is it's only speculation because they're going off the fact that not only does Clefairy dance around fallen moon rocks, it also evolves from a moonstone, but there are a lot of Pokemon that evolve from a moonstone. The Nidoran line needs a moonstone to evolve, as well as the Jigglypuff line needs a moonstone to evolve. So Clefairy isn't special, but Deoxys is very, very special, and that's why we're talking about him today. Or they, because there's more than one Deoxys, and this theory is also going to be very mind-blowing in a lot of ways. So without any further ado, let's get into what are they? Deoxys. So Deoxys, the extraterrestrial Pokemon that started this trend of alien Pokemon from space. What I want to get into first though is its design. Deoxys is obviously based off DNA, or DNAs, which make up the existence of every living thing on the planet, from animals to plants. But funny enough, the first letters of each of its forms, defense, normal, attack, and speed, makes up the letters for DNAs. Just a funny fact that I found, and I love that. It's just funny to me. It really is. Now, looking at Deoxys' design, we see it and all its forms are humanoid in design. With an amazing red and blue color scheme that I really like, each form is very distinct, although it is still very clearly Deoxys. Its attack form is more pointed and sharper, its speed form is sleeker, but loses two of its tentacles, making it look more aerodynamic, and its defense form is bulkier, with its arms becoming wider and more wall-like. Each form, though, is clearly Deoxys, and it is incredibly unique. And it's an incredible idea, because up until Deoxys, there were no Pokemon that had special forms. Which is insane. But it's true. There was no Pokemon before Deoxys that had any special forms that it could turn into. We have plenty of them now, which I will be discussing some of them later on in this video. But until Deoxys, nobody. Nothing. And I love that whole idea. Which, I mean, anybody who's a fan of Deoxys loves that idea. So, yeah, it's amazing. But the way we were originally giving these forms was more annoying than anything else. Now, before we get into that, I just want to let you guys know something. Something that I learned making this video that I don't know if I can ever unsee. Deoxys has a tail. Now, for those who know Deoxys has a tail, that's not very surprising to them, but for me and other people who didn't know Deoxys has a tail, that's very weird, that's very disturbing, and I wish I didn't know. I didn't know. Now, if you played the game since Generation 3, you'll know this Pokemon is from Birth Island, an event distributed in Generation 3's Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Fire Red, and Leaf Green, and like all older events, you had to live next to an event distributor like GameStop or Toys R Us to obtain the item to go to Birth Island. That item in question is the Aurora ticket, for anybody who wanted to know. Once there, you'll have to complete a puzzle. In hindsight, it's not a difficult puzzle, but when I was younger, it was very difficult. I could never figure it out, which, interestingly enough, in the Delta episode of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, you actually got a Easter egg after destroying the meteor. You see, on Birth Island, the puzzle consists of following a black triangle, and you have to follow it in the pattern it's set, or it'll reset and you'll have to do it all over again. And you actually get that black triangle doing the exact same pattern you had to follow in the original Gen 3 games for Deoxys to appear, which I think is really, really cool. And yeah, it's just amazing. But after completing the puzzle, you'll get to battle a level 30 Deoxys, which is good if you're still in early game and want a powerful psychic type Pokemon and don't want to wait to get Mewtwo, or if you're like me when I was younger and didn't have any friends that played Pokemon to trade for an Alakazam. This was also different, however, and also a little bit on the annoying side. No, it wasn't because of catch rates or the accessibility, but it's what they did for Deoxys' forms. You see, each respective game that had this event had its own Deoxys form. Fire Red and Leaf Green had attack and defense form respectively, Ruby and Sapphire had normal form Deoxys, and Emerald had speed form. Interestingly enough, because Emerald wasn't released yet, speed form Deoxys wasn't shown in its debut movie, Destiny Deoxys, which we will get into in a bit. Because there wasn't an item to change Deoxys' forms until Gen 4, it had to be coded that each game got its own unique form, and unfortunately, that if you traded one form to one game to the other, it would actually transform into the coded form, resulting in having two of the same Deoxys in game. However, like I previously mentioned in this video, when Gen 4's Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum were released, you could send over your Deoxys and change its form at will at Veilstone City by going to the Meteor Crash site on the east side of the city. After that though, all games that had Deoxys obtainable either had a meteorite item for us to change its forms, or it had a location with a meteorite that allowed us to change its forms. But the movie, however, gave us a different perspective on how Deoxys transformations work. And it's very, very interesting, and I think it would have worked out better in the long run, especially now. But once I get done talking about the movie, how about you guys leave it in the comment section down below? I want to know your guys' opinions on it. Speaking of the movie, that's actually what we're getting ready to talk about. So, let's talk about, in my opinion, one of the weirdest Pokemon movies ever made. So yeah, let's get into it. Now, before we continue on with this video, if you guys made it this far into the video, that means you guys obviously like my content. How about you show it by, I don't know, shadow punching the like button, and if you guys want to see more videos like this, and others that I'm going to be doing, especially once we get more information on Pokemon Legends Z to A, how about you guys, I don't know, how about you break swipe the subscribe button and the notification bell? But now, without any further ado, let's talk about the Deoxys movie, shall we? Let's go! Woo! Now, I'm sure we have all watched Destiny Deoxys growing up, but for those who haven't, I'm going to give you guys just a quick rundown of how the movie works. So, spoilers for a 20-year-old movie, I guess? So, yeah, you guys can skip it. I don't mind. But if you do, you're going to miss out on a big portion of Deoxys' actual origin. So, let's get into it. Alright, so basically it's your standard Pokemon movie. Something happens at the beginning, in this case Deoxys comes to Earth, battles and loses to Rayquaza, and goes into a hibernation-like state. Then it cuts to Ash and friends going to a city. Trouble ensues with Deoxys going through the city looking for something, and causes all the power to the city and the robotic AI to malfunction and power off. Oh, did I forget to mention? Like every other strange Pokemon movie, this is based in a city that is nowhere in the region that it is supposedly in. And this city is actually called La Rose City, which is an anime exclusive city, and the anime exclusive stuff really makes me mad because it's ridiculous, and there are so many different ways to make this better. So yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know about that. This is just an anime based city, and I think it's absolutely ridiculous that they've done that. But that's enough of my ranting. Let's get back into the spoilers. Rayquaza shows up, fights Deoxys again, all the while its clones, yes, apparently it can clone itself, searches for whatever Deoxys is looking for. After the fight, Deoxys finds what it's looking for, and surprise, it's another Deoxys, only instead of a purple gem, it's green. The green gem Deoxys, that I'm going to be affectionately calling Emerald from now on forever, was the Deoxys that fought Rayquaza and lost at the start of the movie. By the end of the movie, Emerald and Amethyst, the purple gem Deoxys, became friends with everyone, yes, including Rayquaza. There are a lot of interesting concepts in this movie. Deoxys' regeneration, that I can only assume is the move Recover, allowing it to completely regrow its entire side that was blown off by Rayquaza. The fact that unless Deoxys' gem is destroyed, it can completely regenerate its body, and the fact that it can clone itself again, I would assume would be the move Double Team, but I'm not too sure. But the one fact of the matter that is only exclusive to the movie is the fact that it can change forms at will. Now, there's only one other Pokemon that can change forms at will, but I'm going to be discussing it in just a moment. But Deoxys can change forms at will. It was shown in the movie. It changes its forms based off what is needed at the time. Attack form was shown when it was battling Rayquaza using Psycho Boost. Its defense form was shown when using Protect, protecting Deoxys from the avalanche of cube robots. And when it isn't either defending or attacking, it stayed in its normal form. Like previously stated, the speed form wasn't shown due to the fact that Emerald wasn't released yet. The point is that both Deoxys in the movie could change form at will, while its in-game counterpart needs an item to do so. This wouldn't be a problem back then, and it wasn't. But we had Pokemon like Keldeo and Meloetta being able to change forms by learning exclusive moves, and a Pokemon like Aegislash that literally has the ability called Form Change that almost exactly resembles Deoxys' ability to change at will. Now, you would think after 20 years, Deoxys would get a brand new ability that would allow it to, I don't know, change forms at will based off the moves it used. Moves like Psycho Boost, Psycho Cut, Psychic. Moves like that would let Deoxys transform into its attack form. Defensive moves like Protect, Safeguard, Light Screen would get its defense form. Moves like Quick Attack, Extreme Speed, Agility would transform it into its speed form. But no, we don't get anything like that. Deoxys is still a item or location form change Pokemon, which is very, very interesting. Now, I know Pokemon like Rotom exist, but Rotom possesses items to get its different forms. Deoxys doesn't do that, so it's still very, very strange to me personally. I believe that Deoxys does at least deserve an ability that allows it to change forms. I really do believe that. But enough about that. We now know its real-life inspiration, we now know its origins in the movie, but what about its in-game lore? What is Deoxys based off of its Pokedex entries? Well, according to its Pokedex entries, it's an alien virus mutated by a laser. And that's what we're going to be talking about, as well as the possibility of what Pokemon that Deoxys could have been before it was Deoxys. So yeah. Now, to say Deoxys is a mystery is an understatement. In many of its Pokedex entries, it's the result of a space virus that was mutated by a laser from Earth. And that would make a lot of sense in the Mega Timeline because of AZ and the Ultimate Weapon. However, it doesn't make sense for the games before the Mega Timeline, Gens 1 through 5. As a matter of fact, Gen 5 is one of the very few Pokedex entries that actually don't mention that it was mutated by a laser. And scientifically speaking, a virus cannot mutate unless infecting another living organism, even through gain-of-function research. There must be a test subject. There's always a test subject. And before we get into that, though, I just want to mention that all Deoxys' normal form Pokedex entries state that it is a mutated space virus. It also mentions the possibility of there being multiple Deoxyses in existence. Now, after doing research on this, I got to thinking, and I had a couple questions. The first question would be, what would the virus be, right? What would the virus be that infected a Pokemon that could mutate a Pokemon into Deoxys? And after doing a lot of research, I obviously did not bring out the status conditions because obviously those can be cured, but then I remembered there's only one disease, one virus in Pokemon, and that is the Pokerus virus. And there I had it. Now, for those who are wondering and have never seen Pokerus, which is actually probably a good portion of you, Pokerus is a virus in Pokemon that has only positive effects. Basically what happens is if your Pokemon gets infected with Pokerus, it raises your... I don't exactly remember how it worked. I'm pretty sure it just raised the growth rate for Pokemon, which was very, very good and is still very, very, very good. But that was the only virus in Pokemon, and the only real disease because of its infectious nature. Any Pokemon on your team that is on the same team as the Pokemon infected with Pokerus will be infected as well, and it'll go all the way down the line until all 6 of your Pokemon are infected with Pokerus, which I don't know anybody that wouldn't want to do that. So yeah, there's that. So we've got the virus that could possibly have been mutated, but what about the Pokemon? Well, I had to narrow it down because Pokerus isn't an exclusive disease. It can infect any and every Pokemon. So I had to narrow it down based off their affiliation with space. And the only Pokemon that I came up with was the Cleffa line, the Elgyem line, Rayquaza, and Minior. Now, I left the Cleffa line out. I eliminated them because even though they're based off of Moon Fairies, it's not gonna make any sense for something like Clefairy, Cleffa, and Clefable to mutate into something like Deoxys, right? Then I got to the Elgyem line, and Pokemon like Elgyem and Behem don't really count either because even though Elgyem is synonymous with UFO crashes in Pokemon, its evolution Behem isn't even mentioned to be an alien-like Pokemon, so there's that. So they've been eliminated, and it obviously can't be Rayquaza. Rayquaza is a legendary Pokemon that protects the ozone layer from foreign objects, and yeah, so it can't be Rayquaza. So that just leaves one, and this one actually makes a lot of sense. This one is Minior. So why does Minior make so much sense? Well, given that its Pokedex entries state that not only does it make its home in the ozone layer, it's also a food source for stronger Pokemon. The only other Pokemon that lives in the ozone layer is Rayquaza. It's also confirmed that Rayquaza does in fact eat meteors. Minior also has a Pokedex entry that states verbatim that it is born from mutated nanoparticles. Minior also comes in a variety of colors. 2 of those colors, in fact, are purple and green, the colors of the cores that both Deoxys has had in the movie. So here's my theory. A mysterious laser, be it from the ultimate weapon or not, was launched into space mutating nanoparticles infected by the Pokerus virus, and in doing so created the Pokemon known as Deoxys instead of Minior. This theory makes sense when you look at everything that connects these 3 Pokemon. Minior is based off a meteor, or more accurately a shooting star. It's made up of mutated nanoparticles that can contain the Pokerus virus. Minior does not live long after its outer shell is broken, turning back into nanoparticles for the cycle to continue. Rayquaza is all but confirmed to eat them, and this explains why Deoxys could have been made and the rivalry with Rayquaza. Deoxys being a mutated Minior also makes sense due to the fact that it states there could be multiple Deoxys out there. We've already seen 2 with different color cores. Who's to say that there won't be a blue one or a yellow one? Now, with all this evidence pointing to the fact that Deoxys could be a mutated Minior, given the fact that it is stated in its Pokedex entries that there could be multiple Deoxys, we also know that Minior comes in different colors, and there are 2 different colored Deoxys in the movie. I believe Deoxys is indeed a mutated Minior. But what do you guys think? Leave it down in the comment section down below. Hope to see you guys in the next video. My name is DarkHoopa, and I'm out. Bye, guys. Bye.